What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about some of the most embarrassing anxiety symptoms that I would experience. You could argue that all anxiety symptoms are embarrassing to a certain extent, and I will say that we shouldn't be embarrassed about our symptoms, right? It's common with anxiety, but hey, that's in our nature as a human, right? We're gonna get embarrassed, we're gonna feel insecure, and I just want you to know that you're not alone in this fight. You're not alone in these symptoms. I love that part about this channel where I can share these things, and I know that so many of you watching are like, oh my God, I dealt with that as well. So it's kind of what this channel is all about. Finding out you're not alone, and then getting some tips and help along the way to hopefully get you towards either managing anxiety or recovering, whichever one you want to do. So we're going to talk about the most embarrassing anxiety symptoms that I experience. So if you want to let us know down below which ones embarrass you the most, I encourage you to do that in the comment section. But you know what time it is. Without further ado, smash the like button down below if you're ready to kick anxiety in the butt today. Let's jump right into this. So the first thing I'm going to talk about isn't the singular symptom. There's a lot of symptoms that go into this, and it's having panic attacks in front of people. Now, if I had one by myself, it was still scary and terrifying, and I had all the symptoms, but the embarrassing factor really wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't embarrassed to have one by myself. It was whenever I would have one in front of people. And a lot of you that deal with panic, like, you get this, like, that fear of having it in public or around somebody, even if it's somebody that's close to you or somebody that knows what you're going through, it actually drives the panic attacks, right? It makes them happen more often. We have this anticipatory anxiety with it. The fear of having panic attacks is what actually keeps it going, right? So this was the most embarrassing thing that I would go through. I had panic attacks in front of family. I've had panic attacks in front of people that I was interested in or people that I was in a relationship with. I had multiple panic attacks at work, which was really embarrassing for me because I was actually a general manager. I was the one in charge, right? I handled everything. So whenever I would have an anxiety attack or panic attack and I felt like my coworkers or my customers could tell, that was probably the most embarrassing. Having it in front of family was ironically probably the second most embarrassing one. You would think that having it around family it'd be okay, or that they should understand. But sometimes, guys, and a lot of you can relate with this, our family can be the ugliest ones to us. They can belittle you the most. It's sad, right? But it's like they don't have as much of a filter. They don't mind if they hurt your feelings. That's family usually are the ones that tell you to calm down, relax, chill out. You need to get over this. This stuff needs to stop. They can be pretty brutal. So it doesn't help with the embarrassment if you have a panic attack in front of people that are in your family, friends, And I think it's really, really embarrassing whenever you've been able to contain it and hold it in and hide it from the people that you love or care about, and then you have that it's that first one that you have in front of your friends. I had bad driving anxiety, so I would have panic attacks in the car. So obviously when I'm driving, I'm having panic attacks, but it was even worse when I would have a friend that was driving and I had to tell them to pull over or stop here. I got to get out. That happened with a couple of actually it was my two best friends on two different occasions. I had to tell them stop, pull over. They were pretty supportive of it, but they were confused and scared. But it was super, super embarrassing for me to have to ask them to stop. So being a passenger in a car was even worse. The next one, guys, it's another set of symptoms. Don't want to drag this out too long. It's IBS symptoms. Digestion is not a priority whenever you're anxious. And the more anxious you get, especially with anxiety attacks and panic attacks, the lesser priority it is, right? There could be issues with blood flow. A lot of things are happening down here, right? And digestive symptoms and IBS symptoms make us feel really uncomfortable and really insecure. And for some of you, this is probably your most embarrassing set of symptoms. So I'll kind of run through these. The first one's diarrhea. Let's just be real. I'm going to take one for the team. I know this is a sensitive topic. Even talking about it with other people seems impossible and embarrassing in itself. So I'll take one for the team, guys. Hopefully you can relate with this. But diarrhea, man. Whenever I would have panic attacks, whatever I had down here, it would liquefy. I know that's TMI, right? But I had huge issues with diarrhea. There's nothing worse than having a panic attack, thinking that you're having a heart attack, but you're sitting on the toilet, you know, pooping your brains out with diarrhea. Okay, so that was an issue that I had. It's worse when you go to somebody's house, and this can turn into a whole other association, right? You fear having diarrhea or having gas or having issues, digestive issues, when you go places, and it actually causes you to have it even more. You see how anticipatory anxiety works with all these? You not wanting it to happen or you fearing it happening causes it to happen even more. It's effed up, but that's how it works. So if I knew I was going to go somewhere or travel, my stomach would start in on it, and it would start right before I would leave. So by the time I'm getting to anywhere, whether it be going to Walmart or a friend's house or maybe a bar or a restaurant, I got to find out where the bathroom is. And I'm going to tell you this, I've been this way my whole life. I hate going number 2 in a public bathroom. Can't stand it. In my opinion, most of them are gross. I hate it. Not only are they gross, you're going in there and you're having to like time it perfectly when nobody's in there, and sometimes you just can't. Like you have to go, right? When you got to go, you got to go. So diarrhea was one of those, and I get it, it's TMI, but you know, we need to be able to talk about these things and let's be mature about it, right? Another one, constipation. I'll throw this in there. When you feel stopped up, you just feel like other people can notice, right? You just feel off. Same thing with like trapped gas. So trapped gas was another one, because when gas starts moving around in your stomach, you can hear it, right? Your stomach is growling. It's making all these noises. So especially when you're in a quiet setting, right? Maybe at church or in class, and your stomach is doing all these loud movements. I'm telling you, that crap gets very, very embarrassing for most of us. So gas movement, all right? Then we're talking about actual gas, all right? There is nothing worse than having to sit down and hold in gas, right? So you got to leave, you got to go, or you got to go to the bathroom. Hopefully you're in a situation where you can do that. And I'm sure there's some of you that have accidentally let it go, right? And people have heard it. And hell yeah, that's going to be embarrassing, right? I'm going to throw burping and belching into this, kind of the digestive stuff. Some indigestion, maybe some heartburn, but a lot of trapped air and trapped gas. So it's either going to go out the backside or it's going to come up here. So some of you have this constant belching. It's not fun having a conversation. You're having you know what I mean? So that one can be pretty embarrassing as well. So anything digestive wise can make us feel pretty insecure, and it definitely did that for me. The next one that would get to me sometimes, and not always, but I wanted to mention it, is frequent urination. I always have trouble saying frequent. Frequent urination. You have to pee a lot whenever you are anxious. This is actually one of the first symptoms I noticed before I ever had anxiety disorder. If I had something coming up or performance coming up, I would get some performance anxiety, right? I'd get those butterflies. I would have to pee a lot before every performance. So I got some stage fright. So I first started to notice that before my anxiety disorder, all the way back in freaking high school. But once I got anxiety disorder and I was always in a state of anxiety, I'm having to pee around the clock. It may not be a ton, right? But let's say instead of like 7 times, a day that I'm peeing, I'm now peeing like 40 times a day. Feels urgent. I have to get rid of my urine, but it's in a smaller amount, if that makes sense. So you're peeing a lot more often, even if you're peeing technically less each time, right? So if I was doing this at home or if I had to go to Walmart and everything like that, yeah, it sucks to have to be the guy to go pee right whenever you get there, or the gal that has to go pee right when you get somewhere. I think women probably get a little bit more of a pass on this. But it became a problem when it came to travel. Again, driving with friends or family, and I have to pee 2, 3, 4 times, and I got to get them to stop at a gas station. You know how that is. People are like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, just want to get there. You got to pee again, bro. You know what I mean? And it just can get to an embarrassing point. So I would deal with that. And again, the anticipatory anxiety, oh man, I got this long trip coming up. Hopefully I don't have to pee a lot, right? So you're trying not to drink any fluids before you go. That doesn't even work. And you still end up having to ask, or you're miserable back there just holding it in, right? So travel and frequent urination definitely embarrassed me quite a few times. So the next one, guys, is facial twitching, right? If it happened on my arm or my leg, which I had twitching all over my body, it's a common symptom of anxiety. It wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't feel like people could see or notice, especially if my clothes were covering it up. But it sucks when you're having to talk to somebody like this and you got this thing going on. You know what I mean? And most of the time, somebody's not going to say something, but it's even worse whenever, like, you okay, man? Your eyes, like, doing it, and you got to be like, yeah, I got this anxiety thing, and you feel like you got to explain yourself. So twitching in front of people on your face where it's visible can be a real thing. And again, we throw the anticipatory anxiety into this, like every other symptom I've mentioned. It can make it worse. Hopefully my face doesn't twitch when I talk to this person. And there it goes, right? So you can have it in your eye. Any part of your face can basically twitch with anxiety. The next one, guys, you wouldn't think would be embarrassing, but trust me, if you do this a lot in a short amount of time in front of a little group of people, it gets very, very interesting, to say the least. For me, it embarrassed me, but I'm going to cover it. It's excessive yawning. Excessive yawning is another common symptom of anxiety that people don't really know a lot about or wouldn't associate with anxiety or whatever, you know what I mean? But when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're constantly yawning, it gets embarrassing because you don't want that person to think that you're being disrespectful, that they're boring you, that they're putting you to sleep, right? Some other examples of this is like if you're in church, you know, or if there's a speaker or somebody talking and you're just constantly like, even if you can silence it, you don't want that person to see that you're doing it. So I would get into some of these little episodes where it would happen nonstop. And again, the more I tried to not think about yawning, the more I would think about it, and then the more I would yawn, right? They say yawning is contagious. I'm sure some of you have already yawned. By the way, go down below and comment if you've yawned since I started talking about this. But when you even think about yawning, it starts to happen. So if you get into one of these episodes, you know what I mean? So hear me out. You get in one of these episodes, you're like, oh my God, Mom, I keep yawning. Why do I keep yawning? You keep doing it, right? So that was another interesting one. Now, guys, this one's kind of broad, but it was huge for me as well. Almost forgot it, so I'm glad I'm adding this on. It's brain fog. It's brain fog. It's hard for you to concentrate. You have some short-term memory issues. Maybe you stutter when you talk to people, especially when you start to think about it and overthink. You have brain farts where you just go blank. You know what I mean? It can really drive some social anxiety, and it did for me. There would be so many times where I'm talking to somebody, kind of like how I'm talking to you, and then out of nowhere, I'd like lose track, and then I'd have to tell them, you know, hey, I'm sorry, man, I just kind of blanked out. But it was happening so much, it became really, really embarrassing for me. Forgetting a movie title, forgetting a famous person that everybody knows. Really, really awkward when you can't put a name with a face, when it's like somebody in your friend group or an acquaintance or somebody that you've met a few times. You know what I mean? And again, I know this is broad with the brain fog, but it can be embarrassing at work when you're having issues with concentration or learning a new skill or something like that. The thing is that your mind is focused on the fear and the negative thoughts and the symptoms and everything that you got going on with your anxiety. It's hard for you to have room to think about other things that you need to, like your job, right? Or a conversation or some short-term memory issues, directions, putting names with the faces, etc., etc. So this one really, really frustrated me. It would hit me at the worst times, guys. Job interviews, I would get tongue-tied, I'd start to stutter, I'd go blank, I wouldn't know how to answer a question. Phone anxiety, a lot of you get that, like talking to somebody on the phone. This can affect you whenever you're trying to get into a relationship. Basically, the way that I would numb this was to drink alcohol, and I don't recommend that. I would drink because it would kind of relax me. My thoughts would flow. It'd numb me to the pain that I was usually going through. So if I had a phone call or if I was going to go out with friends or something like that, usually drinking was involved and things went pretty smoothly. But it's hellacious the next day. That's why I say don't do it. Plus, you can pick up a bad habit. So brain fog, pretty broad, but definitely was one that embarrassed me a lot. But again, guys, I may have left some out. But I just want you guys to know that I love y'all. You will get through this. In fact, if you watched all this, go down below in the comment section. I want you to comment in all caps, I will get through this storm. I will get through this storm. Every storm runs out of rain, guys. Every storm runs out of rain. You will get through it. You will get through it. I believe in you. A lot of hard work that goes into it. A lot of trial and error, a lot of failure. Get used to failure. Get used to embracing suffering and feeling uncomfortable, because that's what it takes to get past this. But I believe in you. Tons of resources, again, down below in the description, in the first pinned comment. Got my anxiety course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp. I want you to get that today if you haven't gotten it. It's going to help you out with your recovery process. My coaching call info is down below. There's a link for online therapy that I encourage you to take advantage of today, okay? You can do it on the phone, the laptop, the PC, the tablet. You don't even have to leave your house, so it's really, really convenient. And if you live in a small town like I do, I mean, it sounds busy out here, but this is one of the main roads. There's not a lot of options here. So if you live in a small town, this is a great opportunity. You don't have to travel 2 hours to your therapy appointment, every week. So that's something to try out. There's a few other things down there, some anxiety journals, some important tests that you should get done if you have anxiety, to rule out thyroid, vitamin deficiencies, and some hormone imbalances, if that makes sense. So check that out if you haven't. Important to get checked out first. My social media is down there. And yeah, I told you how to upload again today, and here we are. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, if you want to get notified when I put these videos out. That would help me out, would help you out. And I will talk to you guys probably tomorrow. But until next time, guys, I love you all. Keep fighting.